Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Chad Prather Show. I'm Chad Prather, of course. We thought long and hard about what to name this show. Real long. Every bit of 30 seconds, we said we're going to call it the Chad Prather Show. That was 10 years ago. Here we are, thousands. I don't know how many episodes we've had this stage in the game, our various iterations of this program. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad that you guys are in the live chat. If you're over there under the Google Overlords at YouTube, come over here to Rumble. Jump on the Chad Prather Rumble page. Make sure you hit subscribe. When I started on this Rumble thingy, I think I had about 18,000 followers that I brought over from when the Blaze controlled this page. Had to go through an act of Congress to get it. And now we're at 33,700. It's hard fought getting subscribers and followers, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys. You know, we made the big announcement for Dear America this morning, or the big clue on the announcement about some changes that are coming to the show each morning as of June 2nd. Got some changes coming to this show, too. I am going to be moving this studio because I'm going to be moving my home, moving my house to an undisclosed location, moving into a little bunker over there, somewhere that you can never find. And it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a little deal. I'm moving. I'll just tell you, my show's changing. We got a few things that are gonna go on. We're gonna be bringing this thing back to rock and roll status because we still suffer from the social media censorship that's out there, and just the nature of social media has changed so much. The powers that be, the folks that are in control, man, they really do throttle us pretty bad. So I can't even get in the editor's picks here at Rumble. Can't even do it. So anyway, here we are. Just you and me. And in a little while, we'll have Party Foul Steve. Plenty to talk about today. Got some interesting topics, man. I'm doing, as you know, I'm kind of really centered on both faith as well as some history stuff, and I'm enjoying all of it, man. Having a good time. Today we're going to get into a little history. I like to give you some of those things that maybe you know about but you've forgotten about, or it's little known or unknown pieces of history, things that people tend to think of as conspiracy theories. They're not. I'll tell you if it's a conspiracy theory, but what we're going to deal with today is not a theory at all. I mean, this is absolutely true. And we're going to talk about what I like to call the hidden hand, that little sleight of hand deal. Nazis, NASA, mind control, the machine they built after World War II, and how it affects America to this day. I still want to say go back and watch the Saturday episode that I did about the Immigration Act of 1965. It will open your eyes to what we're dealing with today, what we've dealt with especially for the last 4 years. Joe Biden, he finally came out in an interview. I don't know if you saw this or not. He just said in an interview that they asked him about his timing of getting out of the presidential race, and he said it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Finally, we got something that's true out of Joe Biden's mouth. Amazing. And then I don't know if you saw Kamala Cruella DeVille Harris going to the Met Gala. What is this gay fest, the Met Gala? Everybody's over there like they're on a shame campaign, like they got to be, hazed or whatever. It's weird, dude. These people go out and do. Please God, don't ever let me become anything like these people. If that's what success looks like, I don't want it. People aren't designed to be famous anyway. Kamala, though, she showed up at the Met Gala and literally no one cared, sort of like her campaign. Boy, honey, did you see the statue they put up in New York in Times Square of the 12-foot fat black woman? It looked like Letitia James. Did you see this thing? It's like a shrine to morbidity. It's insane. I mean, like, this is what they're tearing down: historic statues of Americans and American heroes, historic figures, spray painting them, toppling them, tearing them down, removing them from parks and places of memorials, and they're going to put, a braless fat black lady up in Times Square because that's what they need. That's what they need. They got people getting murdered on the subway, but they needed in Times Square a 12-foot tall fat black woman. Didn't even put a bra on her. Get those flappy things back under control, man. Yeah, that's what they did. You can go watch my social media clip I made about it. I mean, you got to think that the Statue of Liberty, bless her heart, sitting out there in New York Harbor just shaking her head, looking down on Letitia right there in Times Square. This is where we are. I mean, from identity politics like that, people say, why would you even care? Well, I do care about the erasure of history and the things that we celebrate as art, because if you look at architecture and art and language, that is actually a sign of society. You go back and you look, the Soviets never built anything beautiful. You go down in the Moscow subways, that was Tsarist Russia. That was the Romanovs. That wasn't the Bolsheviks, folks. That was not the communists. The communists never built anything pretty. If you know, for instance, if you look in America, go look at our penitentiaries. Go look at our jails. Nobody ever looks at a penitentiary and says, damn, that's some incredible architecture right there. Wow, I want to take pictures of this place. You don't do that with a modern penitentiary. You ever notice how our public school buildings look like penitentiaries? Sort of communist, right? Sort of communist, because it is. Because it actually is Marxist, and that's what we did. We basically created Marxist institutions. We took the communist pattern of utilitarian buildings and we put it all together. So goes architecture, so goes the art, so goes the language, so goes the music, so goes the poetry, so goes the literature. Fill in the blanks. It's a sign of society. It's literally a finger on the pulse of society. You go look at the Jackson Pollock paintings, which was all crazy, you know, just dribbles and stuff, all of it kind of stuff. That's because that was the philosophy of the day. It was chaotic. There was nothing made any sense. So when you look at statues that they're putting up in Times Square and saying, oh, it's just honoring, you know, whatever, I guess the plight of the black women. I don't know. Maybe she needs 3 toddlers hanging on her tit or something like that. I don't know what they're trying to say. It's identity politics. But just like looking at George Floyd murals or George Floyd statues, nobody needs that. Nobody needs it. And then whatever that thing they pulled out in in Atlanta that they unveiled a couple of years ago that looked like a couple of wieners hugging it out. I mean, that was weird. That was an MLK thing or something like that with the arms around each other. I don't know what it was. Just a pair of arms. It looked like you know, a couple of wieners tangled up. Hey, you got to look at this stuff. You know, they're throwing up all this crazy art around the country, these statues and stuff like that. It's because everything is meaningless. There's no symbolism. There's no balance. There's no beauty. There's no aesthetic. There's none of that. Go to India. Look at the Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal is the world's most perfect building. I mean, every spire, every level, everything, perfectly even, perfectly equal. The spires are the same height. The dude built it. It's a tomb to his wife. That's how much he cared. The Cathedral of Milan. Cathedral of Milan. I keep this in my Bible right here. I keep this in my Bible. The Cathedral of Milan. I showed you guys this yesterday. It took 600 years for them to build this cathedral. You know why they did the architecture of the churches the way that they did? Because when you walked in, they wanted you to worshipfully draw your eyes upward towards God. That's why they put the spires, not the spires, but they put the arches and the stained glass and everything up there. The acoustics were beautiful. They built it with everything in mind, and it drew the eyes up towards God. We don't think about stuff like that. Now we're in a metal building and calling that a church. We don't care about that. These people who built this took 600 years to build that. The people who started it didn't get to finish it. The people working on the middle of it. And the people 600 years to build this building. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. You ever been to Florence? I love Florence. I love when I go to Italy. I love to go to Florence because the incredible architecture, unbelievable. It's indescribable. You can't even begin to use language or words to tell you how beautiful that architecture is. And today, crap. Bunch of communists have taken over, man. Anyway, they got a statue of a fat black woman in Times Square. Go see it. It's going to be there till July. There you go. Yeah. Like I said, they got rats the size of a Labrador retriever and homelessness in the streets, and nobody can afford to live there. But you got you a new statue in Times Square. Gorgeous. Beautiful. I mean, like an ode to sickle cell. I don't know what the hell they're doing over there. Come at me. I don't care. Come at me. God, the left. Blow up the chat. Let me see something. 375 people. That's pathetic. I'm going to quit. I have nobody. I got nothing. I'm kidding with you. You can't get rid of me. I'm like herpes. I just keep coming back. But we're going to come back with a blistering fervor here in a couple of weeks. We got some plans for you guys. It's going to be awesome. Oh, Lord, don't mind me. I'm in a mood. All right, before we go on further, let me tell you about my friends over at Patriot Protect, patriot-protect.com/Chad. I can't tell you how much my email inbox has been cleaned up. Like, I was concerned, like, is something wrong with my email inbox? That's how much spam and crap was coming to my different email accounts. Patriot-protect.com. They cleaned it up. They got my name off the spam websites, the scammers, the phishers, all those things, the crazy calls. They got you covered. Like $14 a month will stop the scammers, the emails, the calls, gets your home address off of Google, and they will scour the dark web, the deep web, wherever where your crap is, man. They will go out there and they will clean it up. They'll clean it up. So check them out. Patriot-protect.com/Chad. That's worth every penny right there. And then you need to get their blackout protection and the whole thing. Boom. There it is. Tomorrow night, Party Foul Steve, Jesse Payton's already driving. They're out there. 18-hour drive. They're driving. They're in the Sprinter van on their way to Raleigh, North Carolina. That's where we're going to be tomorrow night. Get your tickets if you're anywhere in the area. Come hang out with us tomorrow night. We are going to be at, Good Nights Comedy Club tomorrow, Raleigh, North Carolina. And then Friday night, the Lincoln Theater, Marion, Virginia. I think they might be a little woke. We'll find out. May 10th, that is Saturday night prior to your pre-Mother's Day celebration. 2 shows, Jersey Hustle Comedy Club, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Let's get into a little history lesson, folks. Let's talk about the Nazis. You guys know this, right? Y'all know that the media tries to bury our history, right? With the revisionist history and all that kind of stuff. And today's story that I want to get into, and then I'll bring Party Foul Steve on and we'll discuss. We'll put our heads together. It'll sound like a bowling alley. Today's story, it's not just forgotten history, it's forbidden history. See, there's 2 different things. You got revisionist history, you got forgotten history, but then you have forbidden history. That's the stuff we're not allowed to talk about. Well, we're going to do that here. I'm going to tell you something that America doesn't want to talk about. This is a mark. This is a mark that nobody wants to talk about. You've been told that America beat the Nazis in World War II, and that's true. But what if I told you we brought them home with us and gave them paychecks and let them build the very foundations of much of our country, including our program, and maybe, just maybe, even our surveillance state? Oh, yeah. Who in the chat knows what that's called? Do y'all know what that's called? It's called Operation what? Operation Paperclip. Paperclip. We're not allowed to talk about it. That's the secret U.S. government program that smuggled in over 1,600, not half a dozen, folks, 1,600 Nazi scientists. They smuggled them into America after World War II. These were war criminals, SS officers, literal Hitler fanboys. This is why when people call you an actual Nazi or a literal Nazi because you support Donald Trump or something of that nature, when they do that, these people have no idea what real history is. They don't know what a Nazi is. They don't have a clue. But they brought these Hitler fanboys in here and turned them into NASA engineers. They also turned them into CIA advisors overnight. You know why? They did it because the Cold War made us desperate. The Soviets were snatching up German brains, and we couldn't afford to be left behind on that. But here's the kicker. They didn't just help us win the space race. They helped create a whole new kind of warfare, and it was one that targeted the human mind. So I want you to buckle up with me for a few minutes, because this is the episode where we're going to expose the rot at the root of our post-war progress, if that's what you want to call it. And you better believe it is still shaping policy, science, and power today. So dig in with me, if you will, okay? Where are we at in the chat? You guys still with me? You still with me? All right. There it is. Click like underneath the video. Click like. So we gave the Nazis basically a pipeline to our country. So let me give you the facts, because you say, well, this is a conspiracy theory. No. This is not a conspiracy theory. And by the way, the conspiracy theories are usually right. Just takes a little time to, uncover them and verify them. This is literal declassified governmental history for America. Operation Paperclip, they authorized it in 1945, which, as you know, is the end of World War II. The Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency, that's a big word. They had a mission, and their mission was to recruit Nazi scientists before the Soviets got them. Those old Ruskies, the, red Soviets, couldn't let them get them, but there was a problem. The scientists that they wanted were implicated in some horrific war crimes, because they'd worked hand in hand with the SS. They'd used slave labor. They had experimented on human beings. And to fix that image, guess what the American intelligence agents did? They falsified the backgrounds of these Nazi scientists, and they cleaned up the Nazi resumes. So names like Werner von Braun, Arthur Rudolph, Kurt Depew, Hubertus Strughold, all of these guys were quietly ushered into the country with a whitewashed past. Nobody knew anything about them. And you take like Werner von Braun. He was the brains behind the V-2 rocket, which was built using the prisoners from the Mittelbau Dora concentration camp. Thousands of those prisoners died of starvation, torture, overwork, and he actually had an official SS rank. He was the Sturmbannführer. Germans have a weird language, man. It's the Sturmbannführer, which basically is a paramilitary rank of major. Okay, that would be the equivalent of being a major in the army, but he's paramilitary, not official military. So when he came to the U.S., they made him a hero. They put his face out there in the press. I mean, he's grinning with the news conferences, shaking hands with the presidents. These weren't just scientists, folks. These were believers in Nazi ideology. And we didn't just let them in. We gave them labs, paychecks, and power. See, this is where the bones of NASA were born. Because NASA wasn't just about America innovation and a space race and all that fanciful stuff that we're talking about. Typically, we refer to it historically. No, it was born in the shadow of Operation Paperclip. So the Army of Ballistic Missile Agency in Huntsville, Alabama, of all places, that's where they hid the Nazis, was Huntsville. You could still go to Huntsville, Alabama right now. You can go to the Von Braun Center and see, Post Malone play a concert. The space camp is still there. The Rocket Center, the NASA Rocket Center is still there. Every kid in Alabama, especially North Alabama and South Tennessee, goes to the Rocket Center. They go to space camp. This is where they put those German scientists. And so they literally nicknamed Huntsville, Alabama, the German Rocket City. So Werner von Braun and his team were instrumental in developing the Redstone rocket, which, by the way, Redstone Arsenal is still there. And that was America's first large ballistic missile. And what it did was it laid the groundwork for the Saturn V rocket, which was the behemoth that they claim launched Apollo 11 to the moon. I'll let you guys decide what you think about all that. And then you had Arthur Rudolph, who was another paperclip scientist. He was the project director of the Saturn V. He'd been in charge of the Mittelwerk factory in Nazi Germany, where slaves built the V-2 rockets under brutal conditions. In 1984, he actually had to renounce his U.S. citizenship. So let's just stop. Not only did they give these guys clearances and give them a job and celebrate them as heroes, they gave them citizenship as well. He had to leave the country in 1984 because guess what? His Nazi past resurfaced. And see, here we are. That's the irony of the whole deal. We paraded these guys as symbols of American triumph, even as their past were literally dripping with blood, man. So we didn't just import talent. We imported a philosophy, and it was a dark, cold logic. It was utilitarianism, human beings as disposable means to a scientific end. Think about what I just said. And don't even think that idea, that ideology just stayed in the rocket lab. That would be one thing. It leaked into the intelligence agencies, and I want to talk about that for a minute. But just wrap your head around that phrase right there. Human beings as disposable means to a scientific end. I'm going to bring up something here in a little while, and it is going to sound very familiar to you. It's going to sound very familiar to you. Before that, I want to talk to you about my friends at Allied Oilfield. They're the folks that are helping America dig and drill and find that good, precious black gold, that Texas tea. AlliedOilfield.com. They are innovators in the engineering and building of some of the industry standards for not only the oil and gas industry out in the field, but also the trucking industry. So you check them out, AlliedOilfield.com. They're over in West Texas. They are Americans, and they love this country. So go over there and check them out. Some of y'all are in that industry. You might want to check out and see what they can do for you. If you are looking for a design concept of some kind of big piece of machinery, big engineering, go over there and talk to them. They will design it for you, build it out for you. So go over there and check them out. AlliedOilfield.com. I love those guys over there. I'm going to see them this summer. Let's see what you said. Is it Josh? 1983. You live about 45 minutes south of Huntsville, Alabama. So that would be Coleman. Alabama-ish, Coleman, maybe, down there in that area, I bet. Coleman, Alabama. Yeah. I lived in Decatur. I lived in Hartselle for a year. Hartselle, Alabama. Over there just southwest of Huntsville. I know all about it. Trust me, I know all about it. But here's where it got deadly. And I'm gonna finish the little history lesson, then we're gonna bring Party Foul Steve on. We're gonna discuss this thing because I got questions for everybody. You all have heard about MK Ultra, right? That was that American nightmare. That was the CIA mind control issue. So the CIA, they didn't just want control of the borders or the bombs. They wanted control of the minds, okay? So MK Ultra was the top secret program that basically took psychological experimentation to a whole new dark level, all right? Anybody, if you haven't studied MK Ultra, and I would love to say that it's not still around. I would love to say that. No, I'm not saying that. From the 1950s to the 1970s, they popularized this thing. The CIA was basically dosing American citizens with LSD. They were running mind control experiments in psychiatric hospitals and prisons, even universities, by the way. Not a bit of it was consensual. Not a bit of it. And guess who the major influence was? It was Nazi experimentation, because the CIA reviewed documents from Dachau and a lot of other concentration camps, and what they were doing is they were looking for data on human behavior under extreme stress. They even hired former Nazi doctors, SS doctors, as their consultants. So I mentioned earlier, Hubertus Strughold. He was the one who had been involved in some pretty cool experiments, literally cool. He was freezing people to death in Germany. High altitude experiments on camp prisoners. Take them up there, watch them freeze to death. See what the effects were. After the war, the U.S. brought him here. Now, this is the same U.S. that was putting Japanese people, Japanese American citizens, in concentration camps under FDR. But no, now we're going to bring Nazis here. And they brought him here to design space medicine protocols. Why? Because it's cold in space. And he'd been freezing Jewish people in the Holocaust over in Germany for years. So now we had the American Space Medicine Association. And they literally had an award named after him until protesters forced its removal years ago. Now, you had other MK Ultra projects that were involved in sensory deprivation. You had electroshock. You had psychological torture. People were driven insane. People were permanently damaged. People died. And to this day, not one single high-ranking official has ever faced accountability. Why? Because of what I told you. It's forbidden history. Now, where does that leave us today? Where does that leave us today? If our country was willing to do it then, where does that leave us today? We got a space agency built on Nazi know-how. We got an intelligence community that practice mind control. We got a medical system that usually values control over care. And we got a culture that still to this day prioritizes results over morality. We turned the architects of fascism into the engineers of American power. Not all of them, but it was enough to corrupt the foundation. So see, this isn't just about history. This is about accountability, and nobody's being held accountable for this. See, this is about the truth. This is about facing the uncomfortable reality that sometimes the good guys made deals with the devil. Because listen, if the government could lie about this, what else have they lied to us about? Basically everything. I'll go ahead and answer that for you. And let me bring this up before I bring Party Foul on here. Here's something a little more recent. The COVID-19 pandemic. Now, during the pandemic, those were chaotic years, man. They ruined people's lives. And what were we told? Trust the science. Remember 2 weeks to flatten the curve? BS. But trust the science. And we were told over and over again, trust the science. But what science? I mean, the kind that just shifts every single week? The kind propped up by government funding and Big Pharma's influence? The kind where dissenting doctors were silenced and lost their medical license, their right to practice, while Anthony Fauci stood as the unquestionable oracle of truth? And where the hell is that little troll? Pfizer, Moderna, NIH, they all walked away with billions upon billions of dollars. Side effects have been ignored. Natural immunity was mocked. Protocols were trotted out there that just defied common sense, and people lapped it up like a dog with a new bucket. We had data that was suppressed. And so just like with Operation Paperclip and MKUltra, not a single one of the top officials has faced true scrutiny or accountability. No apologies, no hearings, no justice, just a, well, maybe we got some things wrong. Maybe we missed some things. Maybe we need a little amnesty. Maybe we just reacted at the time with the information we were given. No, you didn't miss it. You were evil. You were evil, and you lied to the American people. So do you see the pattern I'm getting to? When the government and science get into bed together, that becomes the first casualty. Just like we brought Nazi scientists under the table. Listen, now we protect corporate interests behind the closed doors. It's the same playbook. It's the same damn playbook. Different players, same lack of accountability. I want to talk about this. Let's chat a little bit. What do you think so far in the chat? Let me know. Let me know what you think. Are we good? We still in there? Party Foul Steve's in the house. What's up, buddy? You got your pants on? There he is.
Yeah, shorts on, short breeches. I wear short breeches every now and then.
You got on shorts?
Yeah.
You got the legs out?
It's summertime. I got the legs out. So,
what do you know about Operation Paperclip?
I just know from everything that you've just said that the Captain America 2050 in Marvel is going to be like, it's going to have Fauci in there. There's going to be some new characters in there.
Well, I made some notes on this thing. I made some notes on this, and I said, World War II didn't end the fight. It simply shifted the battleground, right? The Soviet Union emerged as this brutal, godless regime that was hell-bent on world domination, and they were stealing, recruiting, and absorbing every ounce of scientific knowledge they could get their hands on. So what were we as Americans supposed to do? I'll play devil's advocate for a little while, and I'd love to hear you guys in the chat. I mean, were we supposed to just let these Nazis go to the Soviets?
No. We're about world domination. It's our human instinct is to dominate everything around us. Period.
Yeah. And so,
time.
I'm sitting here thinking about this, and I'm like, you had Stalin, and by the way, communism. I mean, in the 20th century, communism killed more people than anything else in the history of the world. I mean, you're looking at 100 million. Arguably, people say that's not how many people died. It was only 60 million. Okay, whatever. I mean. You know what? Communism sucks when it's killing you. I can tell you that. But let's say 100 million. I'm going to defend myself with 100 million. So, the choice wasn't between good and evil. It was between two evils, really. I mean, you had the Nazi scientists, you had the Russians, you had the communists, and they had to figure out which path was going to protect the American lives. And obviously, they brought the Nazis in here, and they didn't want to sit on some kind of moral high horse. While, Stalin took them and had them. But I want to know, was it a necessary evil or just sort of the beginning of our moral compromise? Because here's where we're at, Steve. Here's what I think. I think we saw that we could get away with it then, and the patterns never change. And I'd love to hear what you guys say in the chat as well. What do you think, Steve?
I think it works for both. You kind of, hey, we're going to pull them in so somebody else doesn't get them, so we can get this knowledge. Yeah. So we can use it against them, and you got to take the bad with the good.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what we did.
It's
not to say these scientists. I'm sure some. I'm some, not all, and I'm not going to say every, but some are probably working under some circumstances that you do this, or you're going to die.
So that's an argument. That is definitely a devil's advocate argument. They were scientists, not soldiers. They weren't the ones pulling the triggers. They were the one pushing the pencils, if you will. Their job was the formulas, the rockets, and the metallurgy. The regime was evil, but not all of its scientists were ideological Nazis. I mean, I have a hard time believing what I'm saying right now. I think they were ideological Nazis because silence is also, silent. Your silence,
but
is support.
If you're not silent, you'll be silenced.
Well, that's true.
Under that kind of regime, you don't think that in our own government that we don't silence those who need to be silenced?
Of course we do. Of course we do. And I know that the American government's first line of duty is to protect American citizens. So, they're trying to outmaneuver the Soviets. And I mean, this is one of those things I want to hear. I think for me is you get to a point where you say, okay, at what point in time is the government going to say this is what we were doing? You bring in these, and again, none of these guys, these 1,600 scientists, none of them faced a Nuremberg trial, while others did. Many of the military folks did. But these scientists are brought in. What would have happened then if we'd have said, okay, we took them in and we're going to use them for our purposes, and they told the American public? It probably would have gone over like a fart in church.
Yeah, because we don't. That's just like any type of war. We don't. Our people at home don't want to know what's really going on over there.
That's why I say, like, I love that. The Jack Nicholson, where you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great speech, right? At night, you want us on that wall. You need me on that wall, and there are a lot of things that people don't know of what's going on out there. Things you can't talk about. Again, forbidden history, forbidden reality.
We had that mentality of, and I don't know what they're teaching our warriors these days, but back then it was kill them all, let God sort them out.
Yeah.
But
like with MK
that's
Ultra,
the mentality, a war mentality that you have to have.
But the problem
let that
with
guy
things
die
like,
for his country.
like
for yours.
Yeah, like George Patton, General Patton said to the American troops. He says, "You don't win a war by dying for your country, by making that bastard die for his."
Yeah, 100%.
So my thing there is, when you have these guys who come over here, and you're going to have something like the Tuskegee experiments, or MK Ultra, mind control, hallucinogenic drugs, exposure, torture, psychotropic, whatever these drugs, and they're doing all this stuff, and they're doing it non-consensually, and they're using Nazi medical science to do it. That's evil.
I was going to say necessary evil. I mean, almost.
I don't even see why it's necessary.
Yeah,
Maybe we've all been infected by something, because I can think about a mattress, and suddenly on Facebook a bunch of mattress ads pop up. Yeah. I haven't even said it out loud, and I'm sitting there going, "What the hell's going on?"
They're watching every move you make.
That's right. In Emerald Coast, you're right. They killed Patton. Patton was ready to go in and take on the Soviets, right? At the end of World War II, he basically, said to Truman, he said, "You want me to go in here and finish these dudes?" Because they were ready to go. Patton saw it, and they said, "No, we don't want to do that."
Yeah.
Again, I think there was an element where they found the Cold War advantageous. America needed an enemy. So America needed an enemy that everybody hated, and they needed Red Russia, right? So what they did is, in order to push their programs, with JFK, the space race, all of those things, they needed Russia to be the bad guys. They needed them to be. Nothing unifies people quicker or faster than a common enemy. You give people a common enemy. That's why on the day after September 11th, everybody came together.
Yeah,
you give them a common enemy.
Exactly where I was going. I mean, there was nothing more unifying than that one act for a few days.
Which is probably why George W. Bush orchestrated that too. I don't believe anything anymore. I think 9/11 was a job.
Could have been. I don't know, but I wouldn't put it past them.
We'll do a deep dive on this thing at some point in time. Get banned on YouTube. Screw them.
YouTube
Building
audio,
7.
YouTube audio is several people's reached out to me. Well, I tried to listen on YouTube yesterday, and the volumes are all messed up. So I don't know how our volume sounds.
Never know.
On Rumble.
Never know.
It's good, but
Building 7 at World Trade Center. Building 7 fell down. Nothing touched it. You can't help but see the controlled demolition. I will talk about that of Building 1 and 2.
Yeah, that gets its own show there.
It does get its own show, but we needed a war. Daddy Bush needed retribution against Saddam.
Who's to say that our federal government didn't decide that we need a president shot in the head?
I think 100% they did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hey, let's let this happen, and because that'll bring the country together. But will it?
And then they install LBJ,
Yeah.
who comes, with the Great Society, whatever, the crap about, he was the messiah of big government, and we still haven't recovered from that crap. So, we can go on and on and on and on. But bringing in, they didn't want Patton to go in there and take care of Stalin. Listen, we were already at war. We went from being in 1939, 1941, Pearl Harbor. We were 17th in the world in terms of our naval might. We were ranked 17th. We didn't have a navy. What was it Zelensky said the other day? You have a big, beautiful ocean that protects you. One day you don't have this big, beautiful ocean.
Yeah.
Remember when he said that a couple of weeks ago in the Oval Office? He was right. We do have protection of our, by the ocean. We didn't have a strong navy. But by the end of World War II, number one. We were number one in the world. Thank you, Rosie the Riveter. Thank you for the steel drives, all the stuff raising the money. But listen, that's the whole deal. Is we went from 17th in the world to number one. We became a military might. We became a world superpower. And we needed the Russians. They didn't want to do that because you need that common enemy. So
yeah, the United States came together like at no other time.
And how many years? How many years have we talked about? How many years have we talked about winning the space race? I don't believe we won a damn thing.
No, because we didn't land on the moon.
Nobody been in the moon. I ain't saying that maybe later they didn't, but the Neil Armstrong, that dude didn't land it. It looked like a damn that little thing of Jiffy Pop that you shake on the stove and it goes and a big tinfoil thing comes out and they're gonna float that thing down. You're in space, bro.
And look how good the images were.
You got shadows going every direction. You got the flag moving. You're on a soundstage. They don't even try to hide the strings, dude.
Yeah, and then images were sharp and clear. Nowadays, we can't even get a good signal for nothing.
We just sent, and we supposed to believe we just sent Katy Perry up into the stratosphere. Oh, okay, yeah, I don't believe none of it, man.
Joyride.
I don't believe any of it. People are like, you're stupid. Whatever, you can't prove it. I can make just as good a damn argument as you can against it. I don't believe anything. Chemtrails, contrails. I'm at a point now where the world might be flat. I don't even know.
I'm not quite there. I'm not quite there yet, but
I don't even know. It's like Mitch Bryant, my buddy Mitch. He's probably watching the show right now. He'll send me some stuff about flat Earth, and I'm like, bro, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
I love you, Mitch. I love the debates, but I'm like, but it's crazy. And yeah, they got the chemtrails out there in the sky doing all this stuff. You can't tell me that they're not trying to block the sun.
Well, no,
and they got all that kind of crap, the chemicals that are in that stuff and the rain that it causes.
We're trying to make it rain. Yeah.
Chocolate rain.
What are they pumping in those chemtrails? It's like aluminum oxide stuff. And
man, I was awake at 2:00 in the morning. I went to bed at 9:30 last night. I'm still awake at 2:00 in the morning. It's still reading stuff. I'm reading about chemtrails. I don't know why I'm going down this stuff. And I got a supercomputer. I got more technology right here in this Chinese-made iPhone than they had in 1967 when they sent people to the moon.
Yeah. Your phone could send yourself to the moon.
Supposedly, but we don't do it.
No.
They don't do it. You know what I was curious about? This is the kind of crap I do, Steve. It was dark the other night when I was driving back from East Texas and you were sick at home. And it was dark, dude. I'm down those back roads. And I was like, what moon are we under? I want to know what moon we're under. So I
Crescent moon.
Looked it up. And we were in the whatever, just prior to the crescent. And you look at that image of the moon, and they got all the moon landings like dotted on there. I was like, why are you showing me that? I just want to know about the moon. I want to know about the phase of the moon. You show me all these moon landings.
They're still trying to convince you we went to the moon.
We got, there's so many things. I know them all over the place, but you had George W. Bush, and including Hillary Clinton, all of them wanted to go to war with Iraq. Why the hell why didn't we hold Saudi Arabia accountable when supposedly the terrorists that hijacked those planes on 9/11, they were all from Saudi Arabia. And now we wound up in Iraq and Afghanistan, and homeboy's hiding out in Pakistan. And we still haven't seen his body.
Yeah.
How many American lives lost because of weapons of mass destruction?
Yeah.
No WMDs. They made that shit up.
If we're going to find out about some weapons of mass destruction, we should find out between India and Pakistan.
And again, Osama bin Laden supposedly hiding in Pakistan.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, dude, they've lied, and it goes all the way back to some of this stuff that I'm talking about. This stuff right here. And that's why I call it the Great American Heist. They stole America, man. They lied to us. And so, they're going to say, well, we won the space race and all this kind of stuff. The Soviet Union was worse. Stalin killed more people than Hitler. He enslaved entire nations. Yeah. And Operation Paperclip helped deny him and stuff like that. So, they say, well, it's just a necessary act of survival. But look, they saw they could get away with it, and they did it with COVID.
Yeah.
What were you going to say? You going to say something?
No, I was just thinking about the space race. What does that get us? What does it get by winning? Oh, look, we're better than y'all.
Well,
we're smarter than y'all.
The Russians send Sputnik up there, and then Yuri Gagarin goes up there and does this deal, and we're like, we're losing. Because again,
they should
at the end of the day,
look at this dumbass going up to space. That Katy Perry mother.
There goes Gayle King. I mean, Did you ever think you'd say Gayle King, man? Wow.
They've been sending monkeys into space for a long time.
And you know the difference between these women and the monkeys? They put a helmet on the monkeys. Like my buddy Reno Collier said, he's like, they put a helmet on the monkey to go up into space. Like, what happens if a monkey hits his head? Does he just become more monkey? Like he's already a monkey.
Oh.
Well, he's trying to save him from the brain damage. They didn't put they didn't put a single helmet on them women.
Because they didn't need one.
Because they didn't go.
It's like, you going to wear a helmet tomorrow when you get on the airplane? Because
people were doing it during COVID.
We're not going to cross that imaginary line they got up there, but
yeah,
still.
So, I mean, whether you think of these scientists as geniuses, and they were geniuses, or they're war criminals, you got to ask yourself the moral dilemma: do the ends justify the means? Could modern experiments in surveillance or medicine and tech, trace their roots back to the same ideology? Look at the COVID thing, man.
No, I'm 100% that all of that was, it comes down to world dominance. And when you come to the COVID stuff and the gain of function research, and I understand there's some good things that come from gain of function. But our purpose for gain of function is to kill the enemy.
Right. So we're going to sit there and say, well, the Geneva Convention says we can't do
Yeah.
And, we talked about the Titanic a couple of weeks ago. And, I don't believe anything. I told you, my buddy Kevin Wade, K-Dub, he's a retired Delta pilot. I tell him all the time. I said, air travel ain't even real, man. I'm not even sure we're here. Like, we're living in the Matrix, dude. Like, I don't even believe in air travel. He gives me a hard time. I'm like, I don't believe none of it. People were wearing helmets on.
You need to believe in some thrust and lift tomorrow, because I'm on that plane with you.
Well, I believe Jesse Payton's driving his, bony butt all the way across America for 18 hours to get there. That dude loves doing comedy, man. But, people were putting helmets and, hazmat suits on during COVID to get on an airplane. So the whole thing was ridiculous. But, again, we've created evil. We've unleashed it in the earth. Man's inhumanity to man. You're willing to sacrifice humans in order to maintain power. And the whole thing. Linda, you're right. Jesse does make Lindsay drive.
You think about that, and just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Right.
Unfortunately, if you want to stay on top, you almost have to. You have to have that in your arsenal.
You asked a minute ago about the space race. The whole deal about that was about weaponizing missiles. We didn't launch a missile on Hiroshima or Nagasaki. We dropped that out of an airplane. Yeah. Fat Boy, and we dropped that out of an airplane. But what they want to be able to do is what China can do right now, and that's launch a nuclear bomb, if nukes even exist.
Yeah.
on mass proliferation if nuclear weapons even exist. I'm not saying maybe a tactical nuke doesn't exist or a Moab bomb, we know that, or a suitcase nuke, something of that nature of a smaller scale. But does true thermonuclear, mutually agreed upon and determined destruction, does it really exist? Because I don't know about you, dude, I've been to Russia, and it's a freaking third world country.
Okay. But I think we can, and I think we can launch it from right here in the U.S., and I think Elon Musk could help do it. If we needed to launch something from right here and put it right where we need it.
But with China's got that deal that'll send this rocket up in space. So you don't have any missile defense system. You don't have, like Ronald Reagan was going to do the Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah.
And then they didn't do that. And then they launched that thing up into space, and it comes over you in orbit and then reemerges over Kansas.
I think we have that capability now. I think it exists. I think we have it. I think China for sure has it. It's just who's going to do it first.
Well, they floated that weather balloon over the top of us last year, and it covered every major military installation across our country until we finally decided to go shoot the freaking thing down over the eastern seaboard. If that thing had popped off an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, over the eastern seaboard, you wouldn't have had power on the eastern seaboard for 3 years.
No, but I feel like we do the same. We're doing the same thing to China. You don't think we're flying stuff over looking? 100%
We better be.
are. I hope we are. We should be. I've got some guns in this house that could just, take out quite a bit. I don't need them, but I might. You never know. You better have it. It's like,
dude, I'm laying there in the bed last night, and I couldn't sleep. I was tired. I was like dozing off. I couldn't sleep, and I finally nodded off at like 2:30 in the morning. And I'm telling you, how you just hear things in your sleep? You know how my back door sounds. It makes a very distinct sound when you shut it. And so I'm telling you, my back door, I heard it go, wha-bam. Buddy, I sat up with that 45, sleep with that dude under my pillow. I sat up with that dude, started looking for footprints under the door. I keep that light specifically shining at the base of my door, in case I see footsteps, the little shadows come through there. We'll fire it up. And so I pulled up my, my cameras and started looking, and there was nothing in the back door. So I'm just hearing things in my sleep.
It is quite nice to just look at your phone and take a look at all your cameras, do a live view.
I think you watch it 24 hours a day.
Every day I check what went on the night before. But I see what my neighbors are up to.
I would love to hear what you guys in the chat have to say. I think it's an interesting conversation. I think it's a little known piece of history. I think it's something that needs to be discussed these days, because if you look at what they did with Fauci and Birx and all the crap they did with the pandemic, very similar in terms of how they ran the PSYOP. It was about control. It was about making the powerful people more powerful, the rich people even richer. Big Pharma definitely expanded their ability and reach. So if they did it back in the, in post-World War II America, all the way up through supposedly the end of MK Ultra in 70, I don't believe that's over at all. When they did that, they're still doing it. I promise you, they'll still do the same pattern.
A lot of that still has to be the root of our pharmaceutical companies.
Bro, that's why.
And I'm sure there's some great things that have come from trying to create evil things.
Well, I mean, chemotherapy is not a good thing, but it came from mustard gas. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. And chemotherapy is another way to poison your body. That's what we did. But I mean, they had to make cancer bigger than it ever was. Cancer wasn't that big of a deal in the early 20th century until John D. Rockefeller started pumping money into what we know now as the American Cancer Society.
Well, we got to go diagnose everything. Every time anything, we have to run to the doctors.
Well, it might be cancer, Steve. You never know.
That's,
And that's what they did. They were literally through the 70s running TV commercials every single night. You need to go to your doctor. If you see that spot, you need to go get checked out because it could be cancer. They were running those commercials. And so they were basically running people to the doctor, bolstering the medical industry, and boosting Big Pharma. So now everybody's on every kind of pill to do every little thing.
They're still doing that to this day. Every time you turn the TV on, it's a pharmaceutical commercial.
I'm telling you, cholesterol, this is not medical advice. those statins will kill you faster than the cholesterol. Your brain's made up of cholesterol. You know, people back in the day used to have a normalized cholesterol level of 350. Got something in my mouth. Might be cholesterol.
Well, we came up with a magic number, which is considered too high. I'm sure they pulled that out somewhere.
The whole thing is a lie. The whole deal is one big lie. Big Pharma, especially. So anyway, that's where we're at, folks. Study your history, man. Study your history because it sticks. It stays with us. Stays with us. That forbidden history. There's revisionist history. You know, there's the acceptable history. There is the forgotten history, and there's the forbidden history. Talk about the forbidden history. Get in there, dig it out, man, and try to find out what the truth is. And meanwhile, they're tearing down our historical structures, you know, whether it's statues or memorials.
They're putting new statues up right now that represent everyday kind of SNAP recipients.
Producer David, before I get out of here, will you pull up my my Instagram or Facebook clip where I'm talking about the fat lady in Times Square, please? Can we show what I just posted on that at Watch Chad on Instagram? If you got that, I would like for everybody to see that real quick. I think
did I miss something that you put out?
Yeah, I think it's like a minute 17 seconds. There she is. Look at that. Look at that sweet chubby beauty right there in Times Square. This one. This don't really affect my life one way or another other than to ask why and laugh at it. New York City, they erected. Let's try it again. Don't worry about it, Dave. Just click play. There we go. Diabetes.
He's gonna line it up.
This don't really affect my life one way or another other than to ask why and laugh at it. New York City, they erected a 12-foot tall plus size, I guess, black woman statue right in the middle of Times Square because apparently she ate all the big apples and they needed to honor that or something. I mean, forget public safety or clean sidewalks or homelessness or raping, corpses on a train. They got a tribute to Lizzo's long-lost cousin standing like the final boss of body positivity. I don't care about art expression, celebrating people of all shapes and sizes. That's not what this is. This is identity politics. You know it good and well. But I mean, somebody sat in city planning and said, you know what we need? We need a 12-foot tribute to diabetes. I mean, that's not a statue. That's cholesterol warning. And I mean, Times Square is nuts enough with, bootleg Spider-Man and naked cowboys and people trying to sell you mixtapes that they burned in 2007, and murder. But now you got the spirit of obesity as a permanent fixture. Listen, common sense, man. You got rats in that town the size of Labrador retrievers. You got subway cars that smell like death and regret, and rent that's so high it'll give you a nosebleed. And what gets budgeted? A towering celebration and tribute to morbidity. I'm telling you, you do what you want to do. New York, y'all are off the tracks, dude. Y'all, this don't really affect my life one way or another other than to ask why and laugh at it. New York City. David.
I don't know if there's an actual, because a lot of times, when they do a statue, there's a quote name. It's like
Letitia James.
EBT card declined. I mean,
that was me that got rid of the troll, y'all. You're welcome.
No.
Listen, I don't mind dissenting ideas. I don't mind people being, whatever they want to say, but at least come with a critical thought if you're going to do it, not just see how radical you can be in the chat.
I missed it completely. I should have.
It's just a dude talking about just throwing racial slurs out there because he can.
Oh.
And we're like, come on, dude. I'm a free speech guy, but at the end of the day, make a point. Make a point. Something we can discuss. But I mean, again, that's a living statue to the fact that diets are racist. We've already established that, right? Diets don't work for black women, and there's the proof. They put a fat ass up there in Times Square. So, diets don't work for me either. But I did have me a good ribeye, Steve. Did you see it?
I saw that. There's such pretty lines on that. Did you? You must have I'm gonna put it 2 minutes this way, and then I'll turn it 2 minutes this way. Get those lines on there.
I did that ribeye for lunch. Had me an Energize with Make Wellness. If you haven't joined Make Wellness, you're missing out. By the way, it takes about a month to 6 weeks for peptides to really kick in. I get people that are seeing results in like 2 weeks. It usually takes about a month or so. And then you start seeing.
It took me every bit of 5 or 6 weeks, and
Yeah.
then it was when I didn't take it for a couple of days when I really noticed.
And when it kicks in, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh. All right. We're getting on the road, dude. You're picking us up bright and early in the morning. We're going to go to Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's see if we got a super chat in there. Producer David
I
at
think
David
MX5
Medina
had one.
PDX. Kelly Boyd, I will see you and Jesse tomorrow night in Raleigh, North Carolina at Good Nights Comedy Club. So how do I get to meet you, get a picture with you? Oh, you will.
Just slip me $100 and we'll make it happen.
By the way, waiting on my Make Wellness order. It'll be there. It's on the way. Thank you. And if you're easily offended, don't come. But we'll meet you. Trust me. These are small shows. This is Mother's Day weekend. We're doing some small shows. It's going to be a good time. Be a lot of fun. MX Wife, safe travels. You all, I agree 100% on what they're doing with our meds and other things. Hope to see y'all Friday night. Marion is next door. Come on.
Come on.
I think that, Steve, I think that venue canceled Zach Rushing.
And why did they cancel him?
Well, it's Zach Rushing. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. Well, thank you for the safe travels. That's the same one. Let's see. No, that's the same one. Same one. Next wife.
Someone said I need
Same one.
Make Wellness bottle, but
Same one.
I drink so much water these days.
Just kept giving. Just kept launching that money into the coffers.
Yeah,
now
we're gonna have to hashtag that with Party Foul for it to ever get directly to me.
We're gonna have to give it back to her. Let's see, Linda. You say Zach is not that bad. Linda, are you on dope right now? Are you on MK Ultra? Say they're gonna go into shock with Jesse. People will go into shock with Jesse no matter what, but Zach is pretty rough. You're right, Kendra Spears. There is a supplement, lean, that curbs your appetite. 600 calories a day is what they've done the studies on. 600 calories less. And it's the visceral fat and not your muscle, which is what the peptides that the GLP-1s, the Ozempic and the tirzepatide and all that stuff.
Well, Roscoe wants us you're going to have to make your own Make Wellness prop. I finally got mine up here, like in a location that can be seen.
Oh, and by the way, I did 6 different shows yesterday, and I've been so busy with everything going up. The hats are ready. If you signed up as an affiliate under me, I'm going to send you the hats. You know, with that little period of time we had them, I got to go pick them up. Steve's been sick. I've been going nonstop. We got to go get the Team CP hats, and I'll get them over to you. But I got to go pick them up. So it's been crazy. Finally got them done though. Pretty cool. Ah, man, oh man, I love Zach. He is such a good gay. That's not what you said. You said guy. I see. That's the cool thing about the lean and the focus and the hydrate is you start noticing that like your cravings are just gone, and that's what I like. But I'm getting felt. I'm back on I think I'm gonna do the carnivore for a little while. Do that. And
I need to. I just told Tony this morning. I said we need to cut back on the bread a little bit because I'm not a big bread eater, but I've been eating more of it lately.
I'm not a bread eater, but I've been a convenience eater. Like I'll order a pizza, but I'll only eat like one slice, and then I'm like, I don't even know why I ordered this. Mm-hmm. And so, Chad pinned my link for Make. Yeah, maybe if I can find it. I don't know.
I don't even know how to pin stuff, so
I don't know. Well, I don't either. That's Kendra knows how to do stuff like that. I'm gonna get it. Let's see. We're all over the place. All over the place.
We can be all over the place,
brother. That's the truth. Hope everybody's doing well. And I am going to. We'll do a Chad's Church. Let's see. There is the link right there. And if I could figure out how to pin this message, done. See if
I put mine right below yours.
Of course you did. I love it. There it is. Come on, join up. Get some. Try it out. Party Foul Steve. All right, guys, we're going to let you go. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. I hope you enjoyed that little science lesson. I hope it opens your eyes a little bit. Let me know if it did. Make sure that you go back over to the video here on the page, and you can like it, you can share it, subscribe to the page, but also get into the hard comments, like not just the live comments, but go into the comments and leave us a message. Party Foul's done that. Kaylin's done that. Linda Adams has done that.
There
But
you
the
go.
rest
Oh,
of
you
you,
got another super chat up there.
what you got? Chad PFS, y'all, keep up the good work. Don't let them steal Texas. Jose, they're
Oh,
trying, brother.
They're working on it.
They're trying. It's the Muslims, man. Go back and watch yesterday's episode if you missed it, but I think you guys are pretty consistently watching it. All right. Thank you so much. We're going to get out of here. Party Foul Steve, at Party Foul Steve, at David Medina PDX. And also you can follow me at Watch Chad, all the good stuff. We got some fun stuff coming. I will not be on Dear America tomorrow morning. Tony and Todd will be holding down the fort. Todd and Kendra will be coming up shortly with Wifey Wednesday. It'll be a good time as always. Maggie Moo is on later on, as well as Brianna Morello. You get your news from her. Know that I love you so much and appreciate you. Praying for you every day. If you're missing out on the daily prayers, I didn't post one yesterday. Didn't feel like doing it, but I did one today. Did one today, and it was a pretty good one. So anyway, go check them out over on Facebook as well as on X. Follow me. And y'all have a good time. Thank you. God bless you. WatchChad.com, where all the fun stuff is. I will post a Chad's Church tomorrow, and you'll love it. Guaranteed. Talk to you then.